Hello and welcome to Vancouver Carpenter. If you've ever cut holes in drywall, you know how hard it is to fix this crappy plastic that's inside all the walls. So this is vapor barrier, and it's important to fix because it's what stops moisture from condensing inside your walls and then getting rot. This one's actually going to be super annoying because this plastic has been yoinked so much that I'm actually going to have to go all the way back to the stud over there to find the rest of the plastic to reattach this. This side, I think I'll just go a little bit past this stud. Keep in mind, every patch is going to be different. So this is how we're going to tackle this one. All right, I'm going to take this up to right there is where the framing starts. So I'm going to take this up 3/4 of an inch past there to where that framing is. And where does this framing start? So that framing starts at 7 inches. So I'm going to go 7 3/4 of an inch because a stud is 1.5 inches. So if I go 3/4, I'm going to land right on it, right there. How far away is this one? 3 inches. So I'm going to go 3 3/4 for the same idea. And down here, it looks like it's not in that bad a shape on the bottom. So I only need to go like 1 inch lower or so. So I'm going to mark this across level so that it's a nice easy square to fill this with after. Same with the bottom. Sides. So now it's time to cut this open, and here's the tricky part. So the reason we're having to go to these lengths is because when people cut this open, they just slash right through, and that's what cuts the poly. And when you're just leaving the electricians on site to cut the holes everywhere, you can't expect them to do any different. They got to get their job done, and they cost a lot more than some people's labor. But what I'm going to do here is a little different. So I'm going to start by scoring this. And I'm not going all the way through. I'm going about halfway through. I know I'm on a stud because I'm going over screws. And there, I'm about halfway through. On your first cut, you only need to score the drywall. You don't need to try and go deep into it. The blade's dull. Close your eyes when you do that. Wait, safety glasses? What are you talking about? Okay, now I'm just going to do a quick little relief cut here. These might not be necessary, but it looks fancier. And now, I'm actually going to break it. Like so. I'm just going to rip it out. So now you can see I've got all this still intact. And I'm very gently cutting now to try and make sure that I don't actually go through with the knife. And it's a bit of a pain. It's very painstaking to do this. But you want to pass your inspection and you want to keep your vapor barrier intact. You got to do a good job. Trying to just cut this paper under here. Let's take a close look at what it looks like. You can see that, and you can see I'm just trying to cut the paper. And you can see here, I've managed to keep that all intact. We're trying to do the same thing here. Get these screws out of here. And I'm just gonna keep at it now. Watch out for my wires. There we go. There's some intact vapor barrier. So I'm actually just kind of crumbling this stuff and tearing it. It really is a pain. Honestly, I wish there was a better way. And I'm sure somebody in the comments will tell me. But this is the most effective way I've found so far. It's cutting the hole bigger. It doesn't always have to be that much bigger. But I just couldn't find this stuff anywhere else. So something's happened here before we even got here. Because it's missing here. There's that. There. There. Get this out of here. Yeah, that's all still intact. I haven't slashed it. A little pry bar, something like this, or a glazier's bar, or a putty knife can sometimes work well to kind of break this stuff off and pull it out. It's a lot of work, and it's all just to not tear that plastic. That's all intact. Good stuff. Next, I got my piece of plastic cut. This is 6mm poly, so this is specifically for vapor barrier. It's much tougher than this thin plastic they were using back in the 80s. I've cut it oversized to the hole because what I like to do is cut it in place. Got some of this glorious stuff right here. Stay still. Stop it. My knife's really dull. That's what's going on. Okay, do the blade break again. Okay, so I'm just putting this in place here. I've got an inch of space from the old to the new here. Just gonna get that in place. Like so. Get this other piece. Like so. And now that that's mostly held there, I got a bit of space here, and there's that bare stud. Nothing we can do about that there. But we're gonna tape it to the stud at least. After I find the end of the tape. Ugh, this tape drives me crazy sometimes. All right. So, I'm gonna tape that down now. And it's taped to the stud at least. And when the drywall goes in, it's gonna sandwich it even more, so that's good. And now, I can cut the other two sides because it's in place. So I'm gonna leave about 1 inch from the bottom so that there's just enough space for the tape to do its job. And same with here, about 1 inch to 3/4 of an inch from the edge. You need a nice sharp blade for this. Make sure it's sticking to everything. There's one more. Make sure it's all nice and sealed. And we just got the top left to do. And I like to cut the edges of the tape. If the tape's a bit long, I like to make sure it's not against the drywall. Like this right here. So that's just me being fussy, pretty particular about things. So there we go. I am satisfied with that. I know that I've done my absolute best to seal up that plastic. Anything beyond here, I don't have control over everything. If there's been a renovation in a place, then it's gonna leak like a sieve anyways. You can pretty much guarantee that not everybody is going to do a nice job like that. But this is nice and sealed. Inspector should be nice and happy with that. And one last thing is you want to refasten the drywall. I always like to fasten it around where the edges are. Because if you've just removed a bunch of it, like you saw, I pulled a couple screws there, so now that drywall isn't fastened there. And one last thing, I got a piece of 1/2 inch plywood here. I actually wasn't gonna put this piece of plywood in. Sometimes it's actually easier to put the plywood in first and then fix the vapor barrier. But anyways. And technically, your patch could bridge that. That's only 16 inches. You're allowed to have 24 inches. But, there it is. Now it's a really well done patch. And when the drywaller comes to patch the drywall now, to put a new piece in, it's gonna be really easy for them. So this was the challenging repair, and I realized I should actually show you guys an easy one too, because this one here, you can see the hole is only this big, and I've just cut it out bigger the same way. So now it's got about 1.5 inches around each side. And this one's really easy compared to this one. So on this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna slip the backing in behind the poly. So now you can see that the poly's in front, the vapor barrier is in front of the wood. So now we're gonna screw this in. It's just plywood, it's overhanging a little bit on each end. Do the same thing here. And trust me, you wanna put the poly in the back, you'll find out why. I mean, the plywood in the back. You'll see why in a moment. It makes the patch really easy. Oh, I went too far. There we go. And now, it's just as simple as this. These little ones are easy. In the middle, we go a little bit past if I can. Sometimes like to tuck the tape under if possible. But as long as your tape's making full contact with the plastic and you're forming that seal, it'll be all right. And be sure not to cut your plastic with your knife when you're cutting the tape. So that is easy. These ones are real easy, and now that's sealed up tight. So thanks for watching Vancouver Carpenter. That's how I like to patch vapor barrier in all these exterior walls and ceilings. So if you know of a better way, please, by all means, let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of you that know worse ways that think they're better that let me know. But anyways, honestly, I'm looking for a faster way to do this too, but it's gotta work. It's gotta pass inspection. And I know that that will. So thanks for watching Vancouver Carpenter. I hope that helps you patch that plastic and get on with your job. Now, let's take a quick look at this place because I need to get on with my job. So many patches. It just gets worse. Just you wait. Oh my God. This is gonna be fun. You can't even see how bad it is. I've already done all these. Yeah, there's a lot of patches in this place. Again, thanks for watching. I hope your project's going well. Till the next video.